They knew that they had did something wrong. They knew that the way they treated me was not right.
Tonight, two women in tears. One, the victim of a botched police raid.
Chicago police, that's what? Go, go, go.
The other, the mayor, who finally admits she let her down.
It's been painful and upsetting.
It's not okay. This man who's walking up to me and putting me in handcuffs, and I have no clothes on.
Now, after nearly a 2-year court battle to bury the body cam video, a battle waged by the mayor's office. That mayor out with a new promise to all of Chicago.
We will do better, and we will win back the trust that we have lost this week.
Good evening. Unprecedented movement today in the story CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini first broke. Mayor Lori Lightfoot calling a news conference to make a series of stunning admissions and propose sweeping cultural changes within the Chicago Police Department, even a proposal to change state law.
This is My Name Is Anjanette Young, a CBS 2 investigator's special presentation. We are going to spend the next hour without commercials looking at a systemic problem within CPD. Shoddy police work leading officers to bust down wrong door after wrong door, traumatizing innocent families.
Let's start with the about face at City Hall. The admission. The mayor knew about Anjanette's story a year ago, despite her claims yesterday that she didn't.
Since I spoke yesterday, I have now become aware that in November of 19, when CBS was doing a continued reporting on the series of search warrant cases, some of the reporting included, I think you mentioned this yesterday, Dana, Miss Young's case. I knew generally about the reporting, which is what prompted me to have our chief risk officer get involved to reform the search warrant process, but I've now come to learn that in November of 19, this Miss Young's case and others were lifted up to my attention.
The mayor was told about it. She knew about it. Later on, she said she may have been busy, distracted with the budget.
We want to bring in CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini. Dave, this story now getting attention across the globe. You sat down with the mayor one-on-one after that explosive news conference. I'd love to start with your first impressions of that meeting.
Well, Brad and Marie, we've been asking for this interview ever since the mayor took office. We wanted to talk to her about this disturbing pattern of wrong raids we had been uncovering in the city. We wanted to talk to her about the victims. We never got that interview. We asked repeatedly and never got it. Well, we got it now, and it took Anjanette Young's worldwide exposure of the humiliation to that woman during that botched raid for her to finally sit down with us. We interviewed a very tired mayor. She appeared to be tired. She appeared to be very angry, and she said she was very angry. And you're going to hear the questions that I had for her throughout this hour, and you're going to hear the answers that she gives me.
Okay, Dave, thank you so much. We're going to hear more from you and from that interview throughout this hour. First, though, we do want to go back a bit. The extraordinary events of today started with the courage and determination of Anjanette Young to fight for video of her mistaken raid and to tell her story.
For more perspective about our conversation tonight, we want to show you her terrifying ordeal.
I just gotten home from work. And while I was undressing in my bedroom,
it was a cold February night, and Anjanette Young, a social worker, had just finished her shift at the hospital.
you see them running up to the apartment complex with the battering ram in their hand.
Chicago police, that's what? Go.
A crowbar. It was so traumatic to hear the way the thing was hitting the door.
Go.
And it happened so fast, I didn't have time to put on clothes.
And suddenly, she found herself frozen in fear. Completely naked. In a room full of men. 9 body cameras rolling.
And you're just standing there.
And I'm just standing there. I mean, terrified, humiliated, not even understanding why in that moment that this is happening to me.
And the first thing police reach for is not clothing. It's handcuffs.
There were big guns and guns with lights and scopes on them, and they were yelling at me, you know, put your hands up, put your hands up.
What are you thinking right now?
I just remember, being so afraid. It's one of those moments where I just felt like that I could have died that night. If I had made one wrong move, I felt like they would have shot me. I truly believe that they would have shot me.
A police officer wraps a short coat around her shoulder, still leaving her front fully exposed. Even the sergeant in charge of the raid just stands there talking to her while she has nothing covering her. Then she gets a blanket.
They just threw something over me. And my hands are behind my back and I'm handcuffed. So there was no way for me to secure the blanket that they put around me.
But the blanket just keeps sliding open. More humiliation.
You need to tell me what you're looking for. What are you looking for?
You can see how some officers just stand there until this one, wearing a mask, sees what's happening and goes and holds it in place.
It felt like forever for me. It felt like forever.
Oh my God, this cannot be right. How is this legal?
Listen how she repeatedly tells the raid team they were in the wrong place.
You have the wrong place. You got the wrong house. You got the wrong house.
We counted. She says it at least 43 times.
You got the wrong house.
And she was right. They were in the wrong house. Our investigation uncovered police failed to do the most basic research before getting the search warrant approved. We found they simply took the word of an informant who gave them Anjanette Young's address. The informant claimed a 23-year-old man who was a known felon had a gun and ammo inside.
I don't know who that person is. I've been living here for 4 years and nobody lives here but me. Okay, you don't have to shout. I don't have to shout. This is ridiculous. You got me in handcuffs. I'm naked. You've kicked my house in. And I keep telling you, you got the wrong place.
Then, during the raid, something happens. Watch as two of the officers go to their squad car and begin reviewing their notes about the warrant. CPD would not comment on what you're about to hear the officers saying a few minutes later.
It wasn't initially approved or some crap.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, because they told him it was approved, and then I guess that person messed up on their end.
Messed up is an understatement. So where was the target? Our investigation revealed he was awaiting trial on home confinement here at a different apartment in Anjanette Young's complex. How easy would it have been to locate him? Easy, real easy, because he was wearing a police tracking device, an electronic monitoring bracelet. It's possible he could have even heard the raid happening, because records show he was confined to the unit right next door.
But I'm telling you it's wrong. I'm asking you to let me call somebody. I'm asking you to let me put some clothes on. I'll sit here and let you do whatever you need to do. But let me call somebody, let me call an attorney, because I'm telling you this is wrong. I have nothing to do with whoever this person is you're looking for.
We found if they would have done a little bit more research, they might have found where the target actually lived.
Yes.
I think Scrub was being too kind, because ultimately this is a constitutional rights issue. And
Keenan
so,
Salter is Anjanette Young's attorney and is suing the police department.
if this had been a young woman in Lincoln Park by herself in her home, naked, a young white woman, let's just be frank, if the reaction would have been the same. I don't think it would have been. I think they would have saw that woman, rightfully so, as someone who was vulnerable, someone who deserved protection, someone who deserved to have their dignity maintained. They viewed Ms. Young as less than human.
Can I please call somebody?
Yeah, man, relax. Just relax, all right?
How can I relax when this is going on?
They did eventually walk her to a room to remove the handcuffs so she could get dressed, but then put them right back on and kept questioning her.
There are no firearms in this place.
There's no gun in this place. I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker for 20 years. I follow the law. I don't get in trouble for anything. I don't do illegal stuff. I'm not that person. You got the wrong information.
At this point, the sergeant in charge of the raid tells the officer who got the warrant to step outside.
Let's go talk outside.
But you won't hear it because once outside, the body camera is shut off. Back inside Anjanette's home, another officer finally uncuffs her. She had been bound for 20 minutes. Listen as the sergeant returns with a new message.
We believe your story.
And you can see him trying to fix the door they busted so she could close it and lock it. But it was too damaged to repair, so watch as they try to find something to wedge it shut. They settle on an ironing board.
Surreal?
Surreal. It's almost like a bad movie. When I watch this, I feel like I'm watching a movie. But those are no actors. I'm no actor. This is my real life. And it happened to me. They're adding trauma to people's lives that will be with them for the rest of their lives. The work is warranted. They need to do the work, but they need to do it right. They can't just callously do it and leave people's lives in ruins because they got it wrong.
It did indeed. Such a visceral reaction here in Chicago and across the country to seeing with our own eyes what happened to Anjanette Young.
And Dave, that really is at the crux of everything in this story. Seeing that video, it's almost impossible to not feel the emotions yourself as you're watching Anjanette so raw and so vulnerable.
Anyone who watches this, it's like a punch in the gut to humanity watching this. You can't sit there and watch a person be treated this way without respect and humiliated by other human beings. And you just can't believe it's happening in this country, in this world today. And being in the room with Anjanette while she watched herself on that camera, I'll never see anything like that again. Seeing a person watching herself be treated that way, a very strong, compassionate woman who never expected this to happen, in her own home, getting into her PJs, after a long day of work of being a social worker, dealing with people with traumas, and this is what she's met with on the night that she goes home to relax.
And then had to deal with this burden and carry it for 2 years as the city rejected every effort she made to get it. A question I have, though, I mean, it really does look like Hollywood. She says it looks like Hollywood. I mean, it looks like these guys were coming in to break up the Medellin cartel. Dozen officers, guns drawn, scopes. What, again, were they looking for?
They were looking for, what an informant told them was a guy with a gun and some ammo, a convicted felon, a guy with a past. They took the word of an informant who they didn't check out the story. You know, as I said, if they would have done a little digging, they would have found the guy in minutes. We found him right next door with a bracelet on. These are simple police duties that they have, responsibilities that they have to perform to get search warrants right, to protect the rights of the people of the city of Chicago. Anywhere, if you're watching this and you're a police officer anywhere, you know you've got to do this work to protect the innocent.
We talked about how impactful that video was, which makes what happened next at the 11th hour that much more disturbing. After very careful vetting and tedious work to blur that body cam video and protect it as much as possible.
Yeah, we were mere hours away from airing our investigation Monday night, 10 p.m., when the city law department filed a motion in federal court to try to stop the story. Dave?
Yeah, the city law department threw a bombshell at us at the last minute. We didn't expect it. We had been airing the promo. We've been questioning them about the body cameras, and then in the city about them, and the police department. And then all of a sudden, just before the story is going to air, we find out they've gone to court to try to stop CBS 2 from airing the video of Anjanette Young's treatment. It just goes to show you how far they went to try to cover this up. Those videos, those body cameras, have existed while you've been mayor, in the hands of your administration, somewhere in the law department. Police departments had it. We don't even know who's seen it, but it's been here. And you know what your reaction was when you saw it with your the first moment, that gut, what you felt in your gut.
Oh, yeah.
So you know people saw this video in your administration. Does that make you wonder why you didn't know about it?
No, it makes me angry that I didn't know about it. It makes me angry that decisive action wasn't taken the minute that it was seen by other people. That's what it makes me. I have said to many people over the course of this week, including today, to members of the law department, we can't lose sight of the humanity of people who say and bring to us harm that they believe was committed by a city actor. Regardless of which side of the V you're on, plaintiff or defendant. If you get to a point where you lose sight of the fact that this person is a human being entitled to dignity and respect, then it's time for you to go.
People in your administration.
Correct.
People that you trust.
Correct. Well, people in my administration saw this, whether it's police department, law department, COPA. I saw the video, and someone should have acted. Someone should have certainly raised it to my level. Look at this video, and that didn't happen.
So, Dave, we heard the mayor earlier today apologize for how this has been handled, saying that she knew she lost trust from people for how this went down. But you've got to think that she maybe is looking around at who she's trusting in her leadership team as she's realized that this information got to her in a haphazard manner. And now we have this fallout to deal with.
Exactly. When you heard my question to her about people you trust, did you notice that she didn't answer that? She didn't say they were people I trusted. She did say they were people in her administration, which is a big red flag right there. She's very angry that she says that she was not told about it, that this was kept from her, or she possibly was insulated. She's not happy about how this all went down, and she says she's doing a top-to-bottom review on who saw the video, whose hands it might have gotten into. I asked her, did you keep a log? Do you even know who had access to this video? Who watched it? Anyone? Was it in the police department? Was it in the law department? Who saw this? She doesn't know. She's going to look into that.
Yeah, and let's not forget, though, while she may be trying to win the empathy Olympics today, she knew about this Tuesday, she knew about this Wednesday. We saw very different sides of the mayor in the past 2 days. And today we saw a very emotional, empathic one. That one didn't exist a couple days ago. So one needs to think about that, too. This is one of the big changes, though, Mayor Lightfoot promised this afternoon. Because of our reporting, this wrangling over video, the back and forth, should we release it, should we not? Lightfoot says she's making an immediate policy change so victims will no longer have to fight for their own body camera video.
Anytime a person who's a victim requests information about an incident that happened to them, our government's obligation is to respond in a fulsome, transparent, and immediate way. We will change our policies and procedures to make sure that a victim who reaches out shouldn't have to file a FOIA request, should just get the information that they seek.
Of course, there still is the issue about sanctions. The city originally said it was going after Anjanette Young and her attorney to punish them over the video's release. Then Mayor Lightfoot yesterday said that's not happening, which is true in part. Late yesterday, city lawyers amended their court filing, clarifying that they are not seeking to sanction Young personally. They are still seeking to sanction her attorney, though. A hearing on that is scheduled for Tuesday. As powerful and dramatic as Anjanette's story is, it is not an isolated incident. Chicago police have made countless mistakes that lead to these wrong rates.
Yeah, and noted there, they're still going after her attorney. For more than 2 years now, the CBS 2 investigators have been documenting individual cases, trying to put together a big picture look at these deep cultural issues at the department. But at every turn, we've been met with anything from lack of transparency to downright stonewalling.
Do you remember what the police did to that door?
They knocked that door off.
They knocked it off?
That thing.
4-year-old Lily was with her grandma, Sharon Lyons, when police busted into their home.
Next thing I know, the whole panel to the side of my door came flying down.
They are the latest victims of a bad Chicago police raid.
For them people to come in my house like that, it ain't did me no good.
It happened in February, just 1 month after CPD sat down with the CBS 2 investigators and made a commitment to put a stop to these wrong raids.
We don't want to see that happen. We don't want to erode the trust with the community.
The commitment to change how police obtain and execute search warrants came nearly 2 years after the CBS 2 investigators started exposing a disturbing pattern of officers raiding the homes of innocent families in Chicago's black and brown neighborhoods. And yet they did it again.
And that's when they had the machine guns and whatever guns them was, they was in my face.
You can still see the damage to Sharon Lyons' door as the raid team was on the hunt for a drug dealer police only knew by the name of Blondie. We'd show you a mugshot of Blondie, but they don't have one. According to the complaint for search warrant, they took the word of a paid informant who said Blondie was selling drugs in the apartment building, but didn't know Blondie's real name and could only describe Blondie as a black transgender woman about 5'9" with a blonde wig. And then, without independently verifying who Blondie really was, broke through this door.
This is from the police. When they hit it with whatever they hit it with.
Her door is among many in black and Latino communities where we found the vast majority of search warrants are executed by Chicago police.
Chicago police!
Wrong door!
We really wanted to know how often wrong raids happen, but the police department, after a year of telling us they do track wrong raids, finally admitted they don't. In the end, our reporting forced them to turn over whatever records they do have, and they gave us this. It's a database of every search warrant executed from 2016 to 2019. There were a total of 6,800. After we mapped the data, we quickly learned it's not just about how often these warrants were executed, but where.
They use a tank, ram the door.
Our mapping found the neighborhood with the most is Inglewood, where Sharnia Phillips was wrongly raided in 2017.
I could have been killed.
Inglewood had 872 search warrants. Also in the top 5 neighborhoods are Austin with 668, North Lawndale 455, Garfield Park 442, and Humboldt Park with 376. Census data shows these neighborhoods are all nearly 90% or more black and Latino. We found only a small percentage happen in white neighborhoods and none listed for Edison Park, Printers Row, Wrigleyville, Museum Campus, and Magnificent Mile.
We the targets, black people.
Demetrius Laban and his sister were also wrongly raided in 2017 in the North Lawndale neighborhood.
I was scared.
Sharon Lyons' neighborhood, back of the yards, ranks 7th for the most search warrants with 290.
Get out.
She says her son Julius, who has autism, started to run when he saw the guns and her on the floor.
My mom. On the floor.
Were you afraid for them all?
Yeah. Scared.
Police then searched the apartment where no one had ever heard of anyone named Blondie and found nothing, no drugs at all. Our analysis of CPD's own data shows 72% of search warrants were for illegal drugs. So how often do police find drugs? Out of the 4,900 drug-related search warrants, they only confiscated drugs in 221 cases. That's less than 5% of the time.
Search warrant, Chicago police!
Like here in 2019, during this wrong raid for drugs on the Archie family, all police found were 3 terrified children who they pointed guns at and ordered to the floor.
Please do not shoot me, please.
You're fine.
And during the most recent raid on the Lyons family,
Did they point the guns at you? They did?
Lily's uncle James couldn't believe they pointed a gun at her.
You're here in handcuffs, and you're on the ground, but you're thinking about your niece.
They went through with their guns out, and I just heard my niece start screaming. She was so helpless at the time. Like, none of us could have helped her.
Of course, we're going to make mistakes, but we can't keep making the same mistakes over and over without putting procedures and policies in place.
Newly appointed police superintendent David Brown wasn't in Chicago when all these raids happened, but is well aware of CBS 2's ongoing investigation.
Thank you so much for the story. I really believe that journalism has a role to play in making sure government does what it's supposed to do, and it's exposed when it doesn't do the job in the right ways.
You're seeing a few stories here. You're seeing people terrorized and traumatized in their own homes. You're seeing children traumatized at the sight of weapons pointed at them and their families. But there's another story that you also just saw, and that's data that we were able to compile. It's a dogfight to get that data, and it shouldn't be that way. It's taken us 2 years to get that data, to tell you that story about where these raids were happening and to what people they were happening to, what neighborhoods they were happening in. And that's the battle that we've had for the last 2 years during our series on Warranted and trying to get answers. And that's why Anjanette Young came to us, because she saw stories like this.
Yeah, and it's through those numbers that were ultimately led to the damage that this causes to real people, often for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's those kids, that young man with autism. It breaks your heart. Dave, during your one-on-one interview with the mayor, you challenged her about how hard it was to even get simple information like what we just saw.
So that's exactly what I did, and she said I shouldn't have to have that kind of problem to get this information. And then I told her what we found, and this was her reaction when it came to what we found on their success rate with drugs. Our investigation found when it came to drug-related search warrants and raids related to drugs, the city found drugs in less than 5% of the cases.
That's a problem.
Should we be the ones that have to do that audit?
No, of course not. The CBS 2 should not be, in effect, the Inspector General, the auditor of the police department. And again, as I said, we have requested a top-to-bottom review of search warrants, both pending litigation and search warrants that have taken place since the new protocols went in place. And that information will be revealed. And we will proceed accordingly, and there's got to be accountability. Someone's home is sacrosanct. It's your sanctuary. You should feel safe when you walk into your home and you shut the door from the outside world. Under our system of laws and our Constitution, there are very limited circumstances where that sanctuary can be breached. And we have to take that seriously.
We keep hearing the promise of there needs to be a review, there needs to be an investigation, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to put this policy in place. Nothing seems to work, and that's the real problem here. Is anything really being done? Brad and Marie?
Yeah, Dave, as the mayor remembered facts on our wrong raids reporting, she and Police Superintendent David Brown announced policy changes. Let's list them. Among them, verification of information from a confidential informant. That informant cannot be paid or receive compensation to reduce the chance of false information. Also, no-knock warrants may only be approved if there is a danger to life or safety. Such warrants must now be approved by a high-level bureau chief, and additional body cameras will be added to every unit or officer who might serve a warrant. Of course, they'll have to turn them on.
Dave, the mayor keeps saying that she was not mayor when police raided Anjanette's home, but it has been 2 years.
It's been 2 years, and she's been the mayor for a long time of that 2 years, and that video has been sitting around for ever since she's been in office. And there's, like she said, once she saw it, she knew it was wrong. So that means everyone who saw it knew it was wrong, and that's her administration. And ever since she's been in office, people in her administration have had access to that video. So we asked her about accountability.
As I've said, and I'll repeat it again, there must be accountability.
But it's been 2 years.
There must be accountability, and there will be accountability.
Well, how long do we have to wait?
I don't think that 2 years is appropriate.
Actually, the Mendez rate is...
I don't think... Let me just finish, Dave, please. I don't think 1 year is appropriate. These have to be taken seriously. They need to be done thoroughly, but on an expedited basis.
So, you hear me questioning her there about the time that she's been in office, and these things are still happening. We've brought countless cases to the city with video evidence from police, their own body cameras, where they're caught on camera admitting to acts that should be disciplined or maybe even investigated on a criminal nature. There's so much evidence out there. What does it take? What does it take to get one case completed? We're still waiting. We haven't seen one case of discipline yet in any of the raids we covered.
So let's go back now. The first wrong home raid covered involved the Mendez family. Peter, one of the children who had a gun pointed in his face, was just 9 years old at the time.
Yeah, Dave says when that family first approached him, the ordeal sounded so unbelievable that he was actually skeptical about the story until he started digging and spoke to them.
Just the saddest moment.
They really hurt you that day.
9-year-old Peter is suffering from a trauma he keeps reliving. The night Chicago police broke down his family's door at dinner time, guns drawn on everyone, including him and his little brother Jack.
They pointed a gun at your dad?
Yeah.
And your mom?
Yeah.
And then did they point a gun at your brother? What was it like when that gun was pointed at you?
It was like my life just flashed before my eyes.
You never thought a police officer would do that to
No.
you? When you see interviews like that, more emotional, the trauma, watching these little kids suffer from these experiences by the police department that's supposed to protect them. Anjanette Young was watching these same stories. She was following our series and trying to work the courage up to come to us. She finally did, and she came to us for help.
Yeah, and finally, 2 years later. So let's take a look back at the other innocent people who came before her. Families terrorized by Chicago police repeatedly raiding the wrong homes. We produced a documentary to share their stories last fall. Here again is Unwarranted.
It was a normal Friday. It was at nighttime. We hadn't had dinner yet. I was hungry. The TV was on. It was a reality show. Jack was in the hallway. I can see him from where I was laying on the floor. And all of a sudden,
Chicago Police, third floor! Chicago Police, third floor!
they barged in with guns.
Get on the f***ing ground!
I was so scared I couldn't speak. The cops threatened my dad that they would shoot him, and one of the cops put his knee in my dad's back.
Your hands behind your back, buddy.
My dad comes in handcuffs, and me and my brother were screaming, "Don't shoot my dad, don't take my dad." They searched the bathroom, and they flipped the mattress. When my mom grabbed the search warrant, she looked at the names. That's when she said to the cops in the living room, "You have the wrong floor, this is not us."
They live upstairs. They live upstairs.
I was thinking, why is this happening to us? We were just a happy family. We did not want this.
Peter, time to get up, bud. Go wash it. Get dressed. I got your food ready to go.
My name is Peter Mendez. I'm 11 years old and I live in Chicago. And I'm in the 6th grade. I used to live at 35th and Damon, and that's where the raid happened. My mom and dad are really the greatest parents ever.
On the floor. Don't eat on the couch because I don't want your mom getting mad.
They're the best parents a kid could ever wish for.
Barked.
My dad works hard. He works as a janitor. My mom, she's a computer person.
You want chocolate milk? No?
My little brother, Jack, means the most to me because he looks up to me. He's my baby brother.
Wash your hands, start getting dressed, baby.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be a cop. But now that that happened, I kind of don't want to be a cop if that's going to happen to other kids.
You're 7 years old.
Yes.
So this was your brother's birthday party.
Yes.
And how old was he turning?
4.
Were you excited for your brother?
Yes.
Why were you excited?
Because at the same time, I love cake. Like every time it's on my birthday, I get really, I get really excited.
I came to cut cake, celebrate, sing happy birthday, show him I love him and bring him a present.
So he never got to cut his cake?
No.
No one got to have that cake?
No.
And so when the police officer came through this door, what was the police officer doing? Pointing the gun?
So I thought they was gonna shoot me and my brother and everybody else. He little. And you should never even see this.
What do you see?
A lot of police and so many of them. Like about, oh my God, so many of them. They just steady coming. A lot of them. At that time, I'm looking, thinking it's a joke, you know what I mean? But then you see guns. You see like, you see guns pointed at us. It was like terrifying. They didn't describe themselves as the police. They did not say who they were. They were like in regular clothes. The whole front room, they tore up, tossed the couches or, threw the food on the floor, tossed his birthday gifts, and just damaged like anything they got their hands on, they just flipped. After they left, the cake was on the floor in the corner with the number 4 stuck down in it.
I'm okay.
You're hearing this?
Yeah, it's just like emotional for my daughter to fully understand and feel the way she feels at just 7 years old. So yeah, it's always emotional for me, so I'm sorry.
She's comforting you right now.
Right.
Should she have had to have gone through something like that?
No. And that's our first time ever experiencing things like that. And I'm so surprised and proud of her that she's taking it well better than me. And I'm 33. And it's like, yeah.
It's hard for you.
Yeah.
Knowing your children were put in that position.
Yeah. On my son's birthday at that. So, yeah. Thank you, Mama.
If the police pointed guns at you during that raid, raise your hand.
They had us all run to like a corner of the room. It was in the kitchen though.
What were you thinking at that point?
I was scared.
Did you know what was happening?
No.
Why do you think the police would point a gun at you?
At first, I didn't know.
The informant told them that he'd been buying heroin out of the second floor apartment for 2 months from a guy named Ace, Derek Bell.
And then nobody stayed there but me and my boys. That's why I kept telling them, like, don't nobody stay here but me. So I'm like, who are you looking for? They never told me. I knew they had the wrong apartment when they looked at each other crazy.
This is the person police were looking for. But no one's ever even seen this guy.
Nope.
I got more records involved with the raid. Took a while, but we got him. The guy that they raided your house looking for, if they would have done their homework, the guy they were looking for was in prison. And he had been in prison since 2009.
Rolling.
For nearly the last year, we've been investigating wrong raids or raids involving search warrants that had inaccuracies.
We want to make sure that we're achieving law enforcement objectives in ways that assure the safety of the officers, but also in ways that minimize the impact and the footprint of government on the lives of individuals, especially when we're talking about children, and certainly in the context of when we're talking about invading people's homes, the very essence of what the Fourth Amendment is about.
When your mom told them
Yeah,
you're in the
that's
wrong
right.
apartment, what did they say?
Curtis Roberts, they live upstairs. They live upstairs.
He gave us the wrong apartment. He gave us the wrong apartment. He gave us the wrong apartment. He said up the stairs and it's the first door right there.
If they already know it's the wrong apartment,
What we got? Nothing? Yeah, I know. Anything back there?
why do they need to search? They kept searching, trying to find something on us.
If it's not the first time, it's not the last time. They're going to keep doing it.
Anybody can tell you anything off the street. Do you believe everything, you know, a person tells you?
My name is Officer Brian Collins, C-O-L-L-I-N-S.
Star number?
16773.
Rank?
Police officer.
You were really cooperative.
Because I didn't want to get shot. That's the only thing I was worried about.
You could see how close that gun was to your face.
Yeah.
I could see it in the video.
So I get to walk towards the door. Mm-hmm. I walked to the door, it just bursted open. And it just came down the hallway with a shield and a gun. But I knew, like, you got the wrong house. I knew.
He said it was the wrong door right here, man. This is not it. Huh? Let's get out of here. Give me your hand, brother. All right? Your leg. Give me your hand. What's your name, young lady?
My name is Sean Green.
Okay.
This was that officer's first warrant. The one that got the warrant for your house, that's the first warrant he ever
You
got.
just probably put them out there.
This is the audio recorded statement of accused member Police Officer Brian Collins, star 16773. Prior to the execution of your warrant that day, how many apartments did you believe were on the first floor?
One.
Did you do a simple internet search of Google or any other internet search engines to confirm the number of units in that building?
No.
Did you personally conduct any surveillance of this location to ascertain if the alleged transactions were occurring at the rear door and to verify that you had the correct target unit?
When I drove by the front and rear of the...
But any surveillance after the drive-by?
No.
It was hard, like seeing guns right there just pointed in the face, like that's how we lost our mother to gun violence. So it was terrifying.
So you still have that emotional scar
Yes,
from losing your mom.
yes.
When you do lose a family member like that to gun violence, I'm sorry. I know it's hard. I'm sorry, Nishan.
I'm State Senator Jacqueline Collins. I represent the 16th Legislative District.
Clear.
I think that probably because they know that they're in a certain community where they feel they can get away with that kind of behavior. And I think because there's no discipline, there's no follow-up, there should be something in place, a departmental discipline for these violations where civil rights are violated. I think that is totally unacceptable, it's unconscionable, and that's why we need to get involved in mandating that they're held accountable for that misuse of power, abuse of power.
Superintendent, just switch gears for a second. Can you talk with us about wrong raids and bad search warrants?
Sure. You know, listen, we do thousands of search warrants a year, and we do everything we can to ensure that we are targeting the right location. But at the end of the day, you know, we rely on citizens' information most of the time. But we're not perfect. We're human. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we try to provide the officers all the training we can to ensure that that type of thing doesn't happen.
Are you tracking them? Do you know how many times they get it wrong?
Yeah, we look at it.
Do you have actual numbers?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but we do have that.
Because we've been asking for numbers.
You hit the apartment of the Mendezes, correct? That's correct. Okay.
I know that it's them upstairs.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Mendez and their children, Peter and Jack, were not the intended targets of your search warrant, correct? No, they were not. Okay. Can you point to any training in your training record, any specific training course in your training record where they taught you that you should find out when kids are likely to not be home and execute the warrant during those times?
No.
Do you think the police were way too rough with you?
Yes. I even tried to shake their hands. Two of them just shrugged by. And then one just shook my hand. Because that was the guy that realized that they were in the wrong apartment.
We're in the middle of moving.
How did it make you feel when the officers wouldn't even shake your hand?
I just felt that they're unpolite because I was trying to be nice.
It's okay. It's okay, Peter. You're doing a good job. What are you thinking about right now?
Just the saddest moment.
They really hurt you that day. What did they make you feel?
It made me feel like the police weren't even what I thought they were.
You had a different image of what a police officer was. You wanted to be a police officer?
I just don't want you anymore. I don't think they're heroes.
Mayor, what's being done to protect kids, especially innocent families, from these repeated wrong raids?
We can't have this. What it does when we make mistakes, and particularly when we make mistakes in the way in which we deal with our children, that leaves an indelible scar that is very, very difficult to repair those kinds of relationships.
In the larger context of the very, very sort of challenged relationship between the police department and the public generally, and the issues of trust or lack of trust, every one of these incidents is an aggravator and a perpetuator of this mistrust that exists.
We the targets, black people.
Even though we're black, doesn't mean they gotta do this to us. It's like people think all Mexican and blacks are bad, but they're thinking wrong.
They feel that the police come in with no sensibilities, with implicit bias in how they relate to them, dehumanizing, disrespectful, and I believe unlawful.
How old are you, Daviana?
6.
Do you know what it means to tell the truth?
Yes. It means that you telling the people what happened.
So do you promise that you'll tell the truth?
Yes.
Very good.
I am the videographer on May 15th, 2017 for the recording of the deposition of Daviana Simmons being taken at 219 South Dearborn Street.
Do you know what a gun is?
Yes.
Do you know what it's used for?
It's used to shoot.
To shoot who or what?
To shoot at people.
Did the police point a gun at anybody else in your house that day?
They pointed a gun at me.
They pointed a gun at you? Yes?
Yes.
Can you tell me what you remember about that?
That they put a gun in my chest.
Can you tell me what the prayer is that you say before you go to bed?
I pray that the police don't come back. I pray that everything is safe in my house. I pray that everything is safe, and I pray that I have good dreams. In Jesus' name, amen.
Because these officers are not trained on how to interact with young children, there's going to be a lot more trauma. Other major departments, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Charlottesville, San Francisco, Baltimore, they have trained their officers on how the youth brain works, how youth brains develop, and how officers should go out of their way not to expose young people, young children, to trauma.
It should be part of the pre-raid plan to discuss exactly what you're going to do if you encounter children.
I think we need to take those precautions to protect the things that happen to Peter does not happen to other children.
Was there a personal consequence or an outcome that you learned about after this day?
There was no personal, I wasn't punished in any way, no reprimand or anything like that.
Did anybody talk to you about the investigation that you did?
No.
Do you know that, like, when you met me, it was exactly 1 year ago today.
Really?
I looked at my calendar. I interviewed you on August 8th, 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
I know that.
The Inspector General has launched an investigation, and a law is being signed after your name to protect children in raid situations. So, are you understanding how important all this is?
Yeah, very important.
One year ago today.
I can't believe it. I still have to smile just because it's just a really big thing.
Well, what are you going to tell your friends?
I don't really know. I'm just going to say, not going to brag about it or anything. I'm just going to say, hey, look, the governor signed the bill so that way every single kid or every single person that has been raided, wrong raids, has been protected. Just because there's a law doesn't mean they're going to follow it sometimes. Because you got some people that care and you got some people that don't care. I was scared to use the bathroom by myself. I was scared to walk home by myself. I was scared to turn the lights off and go through the back door. That's how I got to therapy. I didn't like therapy at first, but I can now walk home by myself. I can use the bathroom and turn off the lights. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a cop. But now that happened, I want to be a doctor. I am Peter Mendez. I am brave, I am smart, I am capable. Sometimes it gets sad, but I know how to work through it.
Some might be learning about this issue because of the Anjanette Young case, but Dave, that body of work shows how big this problem is.
Yeah, when you see those faces and hear those stories, you know, your heart hurts. And we couldn't have told those stories without the children and the victims and the body cameras. The body cameras bring transparency into the room. They're an element of the truth. It's why Anjanette Young wanted to see her body cameras. She wanted to reveal them to the world. She wanted to shine a light on them to fix this problem for others.
Yeah, bless that young Peter, too. What a sage. Just because you have a law doesn't mean people will follow it. God bless our men and women in blue. Lion's share are good, but we know some aren't following it. Dave, have you talked to any of these officers who are caught up in a lot of times repeat offenders, if you will, in these raids?
Well, I've talked to officers that are watching the series and are upset with it because they're upset with their own department. They feel they're also being put in jeopardy on a bad raid, because if you don't do your homework and you're going into the wrong house, you put your whole team, your whole raid team at risk. They could get shot, they could get killed too. So nobody wants to go into the wrong house. It's just sloppy police work.
Yeah, that is a point that is duly noted. And throughout that remarkable documentary, we saw almost a reparative nature that happened to young Peter, from the crying to the end to the thoughtfulness of a young man. And one can only hope that now for Anjanette, who is just starting this process after just seeing the video, finally released after 2 years. Let's give her a word here.
Thank you for being the investigator that you are and shining a light on this, not giving up on it. And I know I appreciate that you're doing it for me, but I know you don't do it just for me. I know that there are so many families and so many women and children who appreciate the work that you, Dave Savini, and Channel 2 Chicago are doing as it relates to this matter.
Now, outrage over what happened to her continues to grow. In the next few minutes, Black Lives Matter, Women's All Points Bulletin, and Good Kids Mad City are having a news conference outside police headquarters. You see that live picture there.
And we will be there. That was 1 hour, uninterrupted. 2.5 years of dogged investigative work, bookended by a crying little boy to a naked, scared social worker. Today, Mayor Lightfoot was very open that these major reforms were prompted by journalism, the journalism of the CBS 2 investigators. There is a reason our profession is protected by the Constitution. The free press has done its job here. Now it's on you, policymakers, for real this time.
We want to thank Anjanette Young and those other families who shared such difficult moments with us here at CBS 2 and the incredible work of Dave Savini and the CBS 2 investigators. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Marie Saavedra.
I'm Brad Edwards. Remember, you can watch Unwarranted anytime or Anjanette's story on our website.